There's going to be a happy ending in this somewhere.
We should be live.
Oh God.
Wait. Why do you think
A
we went
second
the way
ago.
we
I
went?
was interrupted. A happy ending to this story.
It's a happy ending. It was Tetris all day long.
My goodness.
Bringing
Has
it
it been
back.
7 seconds? Has it been 7
No,
seconds?
I think so.
So here's the
Shit.
thing.
YouTube doesn't know what Tetris is to us. They don't know how dirty you guys got with that game. It's fine. It's okay. Speed run
I-
Tetris
we
all
start
you
getting
want.
demonetized because we say Tetris, then they're fucking on to us.
Oh,
Hey,
there it is.
I don't see us live.
I don't see us live
We
either.
should be.
No.
It's
Hold
not
on.
recording, but I don't know about the live.
Oh, the games that made
No.
us.
Yeah,
Hold
there
on.
it is.
There we are.
It's there.
Yeah, we're there.
Sick Jake, when was the last time you took the NyQuil? Was it within the past 10? Because this episode's
I'm
about
gonna
to
be
go
taking
off the rails.
A big swig of it right after this episode.
I drink mine on the ice because I'm a social drinker.
On the rocks,
And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Take your tussin on the ice.
I got
oh my God.
I got that NyQuil mixed with honey upstairs. It's actually a pretty good combination.
We
so.
Got that
we-
quill?
we preferred to call it
The quill with the
Robo.
whiskey and the honey.
This is
When-
gonna demonetize us so hard right here.
Oh.
I'm not abusing
Oh.
NyQuil. I'm sick.
I didn't even think about that. Forgive me. Look, if anybody out there is listening at this point, don't abuse.
Look, don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do those things.
But NyQuil's
Don't use
okay.
the tussin.
Unless
Also,
Unless they're
no one we've
doctor
mentioned up till
prescribed.
now is a sponsor.
Look, don't do drugs unless
Johnson's hot.
they're legal and over the counter, kids.
Oh my goodness.
GP,
Only take
whatever,
us
whatever you
directly.
want to start,
Drugs
you're good.
prescribed
All right, here we go.
by
Here we
a
go. Here we go.
physician
Okay.
Or a man in a trench coat.
Okay.
Dr. Pat is here for you.
Okay. You give me the.
Back
Okay,
at three
here we go.
chipmunks in
There it
a
is.
trench coat.
And cut.
Hey,
Once
good
more
episode, guys.
from
Let's
the
go.
top. Okay. Okay. here
Did
we
you
are.
bring your scripts?
Opening line.
Did you bring your scripts today on?
Can you point to where the game touched you? Today on.
Don't tap your heart over the
Demonetized with a good intro.
For those listening at home, GP tapped his heart.
That's what he
Hard
meant.
hearts.
That's what
The-
he
the
meant.
space where
Games
the
that
heart
touched
should
you
be.
here,
Yeah.
not anywhere else.
It touched me
Right,
here
not
in the
anywhere
heart,
else.
in the heart bone.
We all had our dolls out.
I thought about doing that and having like a little Optimus Prime, and being like right here in the Matrix.
Right there.
Right, but yeah, I didn't want to be. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Bingo.
Bingo. Yeah.
Okay,
Right there.
here.
Yeah.
Show me on the Bowser.
Right there.
Show me on the Bowser.
Everybody, hello and welcome to Press Me to Cancel, the show where the lines are made up. Is that right? No, the points are made up, and the GPs don't matter. So today we're discussing like a formative game kind of discussion. What game impacted your life or molded your experience in gaming, presumably growing up, if there is such a thing. With me today, four of my closest friends. I know I almost said five, but I'm like, no, I'm not a friend of mine. I
You
low
could
key
be.
hate me. Have you
You
guys?
are
met
when
me?
you're
I'm an
playing
asshole.
Tetris.
I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah. So with me today, Werewolf, how are you, sir?
Firstly, I disagree with you saying that you are not your best friend. Like you should be your friend.
Have you had
But
to
I'm
hang
great.
out with me
Thank
like
you.
one on one? That's not a
I'm
right
with
I
me
want to
all
line up for.
time.
But thank you. Thank you for being charming and sweet. Thank you. Sick Jake, hello and welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Always glad for a Friday.
Oh, I hear that. Okay. And Sinistar, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm exhausted. I'm stressed, but I'm here.
All right. I like that you're coming into the episode that way and not leaving the episode that way.
Oh,
There's still time.
I just
still got an
live.
hour.
I just live at a low key stress level, like probably until like mid-November.
That's my
Okay.
secret, GP. I'm always stressed.
Nice. Can you imagine if instead of the Hulk being an anger monster, he was like an anxiety monster or like a stress monster?
Just curls
I
up.
like that. I have to create that now. Trademark.
He's just always scratching his arms.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay. And Chard Monk, welcome in. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. I'm also glad it's Friday. It's gonna be a fun weekend this weekend, and I'm glad to start it off with you guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're gonna go to a Renaissance festival. I'm very excited. But that's a different
uh,
episode. So
the common vernacular among nerds is a Ren fair.
Wow.
Are you going to
I'm
dress
gonna
up
go
as
see
Star Trek
Hans Zimmer,
characters?
so that's cool.
Are you going to be that guy?
you know,
You
with
ever
the
see
Star
that?
Trek guy?
Who goes to Ren Fair, but you dress up as Star Trek and you're like on a
Hell yes.
No. But
recreating that
I do
episode.
support the Trekkers. A
Yeah.
lot of people say Trekkies. The technical term is actually Trekkers, not important. And who said something about Hans Zimmer?
I'm going to see Hans Zimmer tomorrow.
So I know some people who just went and saw that show a couple of nights ago, maybe a week ago, and they said it just blew their dicks off. It was amazing. So,
I will make sure to wear the cup.
yes, I'm just saying, be
I was already
ready,
prepped
well
for it.
protected.
I've heard it's a god damn it, it's a bad thing that a drug gives you,
Mhm.
like a side effect. It's a side effect of the show. So I'm
Okay.
prepared.
So
I
what
almost
you're
said Trek.
saying is the final song is by King Missile.
Oh wow, nice,
Wow,
nice,
I hate it here.
very good.
Followed by King Crimson.
Oh
Okay.
God, no, don't disparage them. I love King Crimson because I've always said it. You have to be happy with what you have to be happy with what you have. Be happy with. Okay, so we
It
should
makes
get
sense.
into the episode. Again, the topic is, games that formed our gaming experience, ones that touched us and left us a different person. Senator Star, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, let's
So
hear about it. What's your game?
so the
Involved?
game, it's actually, I mean, it came out, I think, when I was in my early 20s. So not as formative as it could have been, but it definitely affected kind of gaming with friends and gaming on the internet as a whole. Uh, uh, it was one of the biggest influences. My pick is StarCraft.
Oh yes,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
TNG, absolutely, all the way.
Yeah. So and you know, I mean,
Trekkie.
Blizzard always kind of nailed it with Warcraft and then Warcraft 2 and then StarCraft came out and man, that just it hit all the spots for me. So, and the reason that I call it a formative game or a game that touched me in my heartbone
There you go.
is it was a game that I literally would get together with friends and we would stay up all night and it was just
Oh,
game after game after game. And you know, sometimes it would be competitive, but more often than not it would be cooperative. This game I took to the point that I would design maps for us, you know, to play. um yeah, I had dreams about this game. I dreamt up strategies. I literally did. I came up with the bat death, like there, you know, there's a and so like yeah, just spam the crap out of them with flying, you know, with the Terran bats, the fire, not, I can't remember the full term, but yeah,
Fire bats, right?
fire bats, thank you. And then the DLC came out and it got even better.
Yeah.
And yeah, amongst the friends that would get together, and this was, you know, when my friends and I were roommates, we would have a couple people come over, and yeah, it was literally all night. um and we referred to the DLC as extra crispy, on top of original recipe. So we'd always say, we'd literally look at each other and say extra crispy, and you know, it was like it was on.
it was on. I
Yeah.
love that, and I will throw my support between any game that gets the friends together for a shared experience, especially one involving um, nationwide chicken franchises. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So, to go into a little more detail, I still play this game even to this day. It's funny because StarCraft 2 came out. I've played a bunch of StarCraft 2, but I keep going back to StarCraft and Extra Crispy. Um, and it kind of stemmed off of, you know, I played a fair amount of Warcraft and Warcraft 2. I played a hell of a lot of Command and Conquer. Had a friend who lived with his mother, but he basically had the entire basement, and he took coax cable and ran it along the upper edge of every single room, and just put T's at every, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet, and then you could just bring your computer in and just plug into his
LAN
yeah.
party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Although his nickname was Schwa, so we called it Schwanet.
Schwanet.
Uh-huh.
That's a great nickname.
Yeah.
That's short for
Although
Joshua?
no. Like
Dot.
literally he just liked the term schwa, you know, the
Schwa.
upside down E,
Flank.
the schwa E.
Schwa.
Ah.
Although to this day he has changed his nickname. So if he's ever listening, Nuts, we're talking about you.
Okay, he went from schwa to nuts.
That's right.
That's
Okay, we have to do a schwa episode if you want to invite him on. I have so many questions. Also, I might be misunderstanding this, but you can't give yourself a nickname, says GP. But you know, you can give yourself a handle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, we all call him Nuts, sometimes Uncle Nuts. Yeah.
well, Uncle Nuts is fair.
Yeah. But
Schwa.
yeah, we would get together and you know, plug into his to Schwanet, and then we'd play.
Nut net.
Yeah, exactly.
Schwanet.
Started out doing Command and Conquer, and you know, progressed all the way up until StarCraft.
When you play StarCraft today, do you play it's the remastered edition they did recently, or do you
Yes.
play the original?
Yes.
The remastered? How is the remastered?
I play the remaster. The remaster's fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, it plays. I don't know that gameplay was really changed. I think it was honestly just
Yeah.
the graphics that were changed.
Yeah.
So you know, I have the nice thing is it scales. I run on a 4K screen, so it does scale. Where you know, the original was designed for 640 by 480 CRT, right? So yeah. I remember lugging around a computer, you know, a case and a big ass CRT monitor. Like that was
We had backpacks
Yeah.
for our
Uh-huh.
towers to bring
Yep.
them everywhere when we were doing LAN parties. How recently did that remaster come out?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to my Mind Palace.
Oh, you don't have to mind palace it. I just thought maybe it was like 2021 or some shit. Like it was fairly-
No, I think it was like it's 2017.
Okay, that's still pretty
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did a remaster of that.
Yeah,
good
and the
thing.
nice I mean the nice thing is you know, the original, this was back before the internet was really a big thing, so it was all to get nerdy IPX SPX on LAN.
Bless you.
Didn't translate well to you know, the internet. Then they came out with BattleNet, and it was a little
yeah.
wonky, and now
Firefox.
it's just solid.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, for me, when Blizzard brought up BattleNet, they crushed it because I remember being in the chat room for Diablo actually, and then you could see the avatars from people who were playing Diablo or StarCraft all in the same chat interface.
Yep.
I just thought that was a wild thing. This is before I found IRC, so.
Uh-huh.
But I really like BattleNet. Once they got it working, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, we used to use, I don't even remember the name of it, but there was a program that was designed to encapsulate that old style, you know, network and
Right.
run it over the internet. And it was always a little, you know, you'd have pauses and, you know, and the nice thing is when StarCraft like has network issues, it pauses for everyone and goes like
Yeah.
gray.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. But yeah,
Wow.
we would haul our computers around. So of course you'd have your like 3 hours of getting set up and like the network isn't working or sound isn't working or this isn't working or that isn't. And then after 3 hours, yeah, it was on all night.
It's good to know nothing has changed in the past 20 years.
Oh, it
It's
very
true.
much is the same. I do
Yeah.
I do Sunday games with some friends. We call it church, video game church. And every single time it's like whose sound isn't going to work right now? Like we have to wait until like yeah. So
Wow.
Hell, that's our podcast. Have some weeks, right?
That's what
I'm
Who's gonna
saying,
break
like,
this week? It's
yeah.
one of us. It's
Wow.
always somebody.
Bat in
exactly.
1,000.
Exactly. So yeah, my I mean, yeah, it was in my 20s, but in my early 20s, but honestly, it really kind of introduced me to you know, the concept of LAN gaming and then eventually internet gaming.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Those are, I don't know. There are games like that. And I think I don't know if the current generation of kids playing games has that same experience. I like to think they do because internet gaming is so popular and wild, but obviously they don't have to lug around CRTs and
Right.
fight with tech and all that kind of stuff. And everybody's got the internet, which is great. But there really was something special about just kind of connecting with the bros or the gals and
Oh yeah.
gaming together, which that's great. I love that story.
And it had to be in person,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about, my kids are early 20s, mid 20s now, and we got them tablets one year for Christmas, and the first time we drove off from the house, they're like using their tablets in the car, and they're like, "Dad, the internet isn't working."
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah,
You
Doesn't
idiots.
travel.
Yeah.
Idiot. Wow, idiots.
yeah, exactly.
You
Doesn't
should be
travel.
embarrassed, children.
Yeah, that's how I talk to my kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. GP's quoting me. He's heard it.
Here is demonetization point 2.
Yeah, ours is shorthanded to no enter.
Uh,
No enter.
That's so much
Uh,
time everybody saves, you
yeah.
know. But anyway, that's cool. No,
Well,
I
'cause
love that.
The
I
first
love
time
that.
he explained, the first time the kiddo explained he didn't have internet, he didn't know how to say the whole thing. He was only like 4, so it was no
Oh,
enter,
okay.
and it stuck.
I mean, fair.
Well, okay, yes. Then I have to admit, I'm an asshole. I'm sorry. I love that kid. That kid's great.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's my story.
StarCraft.
That's my story. Yeah, StarCraft, even to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonus points to Command and Conquer.
Oh,
My older
yeah.
brother showed me Red Alert, and that was like a light switch for that kind of game in my life. So, and it is easy to spend all night into the early hours playing those types of games. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and going to Command and Conquer, there's nothing like hearing, nuclear launch detected while you're playing, and you're like, oh shit. Like
Ghost in my goddamn.
where's it gonna
face.
land? Where's
And
it
then
gonna
everybody
land?
farts at the same time because they're like,
Yep.
yeah, there it is.
Yep.
I found it.
Actually, you just
Yeah,
hear the
farts.
sound of you just hear the sound of clench. Just everybody clenches.
Love it. Well, I'll tell you what, let's move on. Love StarCraft. Love the memories. That's great. Werewolf, would you regale us with some tales next?
Sure. For mine, we're gonna go back to 1997. I was 14,
Okay.
and didn't have this game yet, but rented it from the video store and made it a very quick purchase thereafter. Symphony of the Night, Castlevania. Because I had to think about it. I was like, what do I play most these days? Metroidvanias. All the time, those are what I gravitate toward most. And I'm pretty sure Symphony of the Night was the first game that really showed me that formula is what I just always yearn for, And there were games that I played before that it didn't have a term yet, so I didn't know that. But yeah, Metroidvanias with 2D platforming and all that's kind of my jam. So
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night with all the power-ups and collectibles and hidden rooms and all of that, the different weapons you could pick. You're working your way through the castle. You beat that first boss the first time. You beat Richter that first time thinking that's it, that's the end, and you get the credits and it's like, wait, I've only got like 75% of the castle explored. Let's figure this out. There's more to find. And then in the process of doing that, you learn, you find all the stuff, and then you go to fight him again. Like, okay, what's going to be different this time? And all of a sudden, there's another dude floating above him. So you kill him instead, and then a whole other friggin' castle. It's ridiculous. So this was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge game. Well,
Your boss is
let's
in
go
another
back.
castle.
Nice.
Let's go back a few years before that. Super Metroid is where the line kind of goes backwards from there. Super Metroid was very much a lot of those same feelings, but it was more of a cautious exploration and wondering where things would go instead of the like, I can go anywhere I want. What's gonna stop me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it just the way it told that show don't tell narrative, and again all the secrets and power ups and everything. It was great. And then inevitably the speed running before we knew really what speed running was. Go back a few years before that, and we're at Blaster Master. And I know it's not quite as tight in the Metroidvania vein, but it's still like exploration, finding
Yeah.
power-ups, to break through barriers, backtrack, find secrets, or find levels through other levels, things like that. You go back before that, and you're kind of bringing it around a little to Simon's Quest,
There you go.
Yeah.
and I didn't have that as a kid, but it was always like, I want to play this. I want to get the power ups. I want to just explore everything, find everything, and beat it. And I never got to as a kid. I didn't until I was an adult, sadly. But where it really started for me, and this will not be a big shocker to people who've been listening for a long time, is Zillion.
Yeah.
It had all that stuff. It had the level ups to increase your health pool, jumping ability, the power ups to your gun to make them more powerful, and destroy more things to advance further, and even other characters to find that if you didn't find them, you got a bad ending, which it might have been like different 50 words, but still, it was a bad ending. So for me, I really think Symphony of the Night is where that all cohesed together, was like, oh, that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night's a fantastic game. That's such a good game. I played that way late in my career as a person. And man, I enjoy. Well, that's the best way I could put it. That was the first game that I badged on RA. It was the first one I attempted before I even played it.
Oh
Said
wow.
we're gonna do this, and everybody was like, "You're crazy if this is gonna be the first game you're gonna try and badge." And I was like, "Nope, we're gonna play this fresh, never played this before. We're gonna badge it," and I ended up doing it. But holy cow, man, that game just without having all the retro achievements and stuff attached to it, I don't think I would have explored as much in that game or had the patience to really dive deep and to find all the stuff that you end up finding. And like you said, it's you beat it on the bad ending and you're just like, that's it. This is what everybody's bragging about.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
game. And then you
That's
dive
it.
deeper
And then
you-
Smooth Jazz.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
real final boss is Jazz.
The real final boss is Jazz.
And it opens up, and then you get to play. You can play as Richter, and in the Saturn version, you can play as the girl. I can't remember her name off the top
Oh,
of my head.
dude,
Maria.
Maria.
Yeah.
Maria, thank you. And it's a whole nother level of gameplay, and Symphony of the Night's just fantastic. It's all those parts of RPGs that I like, and then platforming and slashers that I like, all mixed into one. It is a perfect melting pot of a video game. I don't think anything before Castlevania Symphony of the Night or beyond that has ever been better than Symphony of the Night, in my personal opinion. I think that is the peak of Castlevania. Dim, if that's a word.
It is.
It is
Well,
now.
It is now. Yeah.
It's in the Press B
I
lexicon.
think it's just the most accessible because it wasn't on handhelds. Because kind of after that, it got relegated to handheld in that format for Castlevania, which is unfortunate.
Right.
Because Portrait of Ruin was good. Order of Ecclesia was a little weird about it. But yeah, Portrait of Ruin, Dawn of Sorrow, Aria of Sorrow, even Circle of the Moon. Those were not bad games. They just
Right.
they're just on a little tiny screen and it sucked.
What about the
even when
spiritual
you-
Next
successor?
Sorrow.
But even when you
about the
play those
spiritual
handheld
successor?
games now, sorry, Sinistar, when you play those
you're
Castlevania games now from mobile on a big screen, they're not bad, they're good, but they still don't hold a candle to Symphony of the Night. Like Symphony of the Night is a game I'll go back to and always find something new to, like a new way to play, a new weapon, a new build, I guess. Try using spells. Like, there's different ways for me to play that game, and I don't get tired of it. When I go back to Circle of the Moon, I usually burn out after a few hours trying to find the stupid cards. And I find the newer
Right.
ones,
That's-
well, not
that's
bad, but
fair.
they don't hold my attention like Symphony of the Night does.
Yeah.
Harmony of Dissonance was really the only follow-up to that formula that I think is trash, but that's just me
Of-
personally.
Of the blank of blank
Mm.
series of Castlevania, I find Symphony of the Night to be the preeminent one. The tits, the best.
Oh yeah, it
That's all I got.
My favorite
it set the
Castlevania
tone
is
and
yeah.
never was really topped.
I like the Rolodex of disgruntledness. That's a great Castlevania.
we can come up with like an AI algorithm for Castlevania names, right?
There's that really
Yeah,
depressing one.
object of verb.
There's that really depressing one, Sorrow of Sorrow. Just
Yeah.
Sorrow of Sorrow.
Sorrow,
Yeah.
sorrow.
The sorrow of
Well,
joys.
they
The sorrow of sadness.
Tetris of moistness.
Oh my god.
Lexicon.
they actually reused Harmony at one point.
Right.
I don't know if any of you guys remember, but they had an online Castlevania game that was like up to 4 players at once.
Right.
Mm-mm.
And that one was called Harmony of Despair.
Mm.
Which is
And that
so
was-
fucking metal. What a
Sock
great
of
name.
Despair is a really great
It
name.
does
for
sound like a
Castlevania
Dream Theater
Yeah.
song.
Olaf Metal.
I hear you hating, but I'm not feeling it because
I didn't say it was
and they're
hate.
touring. Huh?
I didn't
Oh, no,
say
I
it
know
was
your
hate. It
history.
sounds like a Dream Theater song.
It does, doesn't it? The proggiest shit I've ever heard.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah.
How do you feel
pick.
about the we'll call it the spiritual successor, Bloodstained?
Oh,
Hmm.
I fell in love with that too. I had to stop
Stain of the blood.
playing it after I played through it like 3 or 4 times in a row. I had to like step
Yeah.
away to move on to
We
something
did that
else.
episode
I
and
was
we
like,
lost
nope.
you for a little while. Well, we
Yeah.
almost had an intervention. Intervention of
I had to
sorrow.
cut myself off on that one.
Nice.
Very cool.
Right.
I love it. So great picks so far with great stories accompanying them. I think that's wonderful. It warms the cockles of my heart.
There
We've
you
talked
go.
about heart bones a lot. Okay, can do Sinister. Thank you. For anybody out there in listening land, Sinister is wearing a "shut the fuck up" shirt, and he just pointed to that. And we still have 40 minutes of episode
Is that
left.
like
So,
wrap it up?
yeah,
Wrap it up,
how am I
Pete.
getting the Oscars music?
Look,
like,
look,
this is
I
why
was-
don't host more.
look, I was pointing at the cockles of my heart, which happens to
Oh.
be in the F.
It's part of the
Oh, I
FU.
apologize. That's my fault. Here, that's on me. Okay. Sig Jake, are you feeling up to telling us about that?
Yeah,
or
sure.
some data?
So I guess for my pick, so I didn't get a couple of things. I didn't have access to the internet or really a PC until I just finished high school. So I came this kind of late. So I was kind of all in on PC gaming early on, and because it's brand new and fresh to me around 2000, 2001. And I'd never sat down to play a game like Morrowind before. Morrowind is from the Elder Scrolls series, like a 3D, just massive open world, and really truly massive open world with a map that was staggeringly large. Nothing I'd ever seen on console as a kid growing up with NES, SNES, and Genesis. None of that. So when I first, you start up Morrowind and you get to customize your character down to a bunch of details. You're picking stats, you're picking skills, arcana, star signs, but it's all that character building. While there's been character building in some other games I'd played up to that point, nothing is in depth as Morrowind. It has different in feel when you play different characters in Morrowind, and just that sensation when you get off the boat, off the dock, you're a prisoner, but you're let loose in this really bizarre, unique fantasy land of Morrowind, where instead of trees, there's giant mushrooms, and the elves got blue skin, and there's bugs everywhere for some reason. Just such a really inventive and creative world. I'd never seen anything like it, and I just fell in love with it. And I fell in love with a lot of the Elder Scrolls games, right? Oblivion and Skyrim, for very similar reasons. Just this studio just makes games that you can just get lost in. And I think I've beaten Morrowind like twice, although I've played hundreds of hours. But I never did beat Oblivion, never did beat Skyrim, because I just like playing the world. I like exploring. I like how I can walk down a road and there's a random cave or a shrine, and suddenly I spend 2 hours, exploring this labyrinth or ruin. The sense of exploration was always great in these games. But it goes back to Morrowind, right, where you have ancient dwarven ruins with like steampunk stuff. There's like crypts with undead or vampires. I mean, the first time I got a vampire and I got bit, and you get the vampirism disease, that was wild. Just everything about Morrowind really struck home for me as a game that just kind of shaped my love for open world games. And even today, when I kind of sat down for this episode trying to figure out what game do I enjoy the most, what kind of game do I enjoy the most, and it always comes back to I like the games where I don't feel like the story is forced on me, and I like the ones where I can explore at my own pace. And that's why I like games like No Man's Sky, right, which is the procedurally generated infinite exploring game. All you do is explore. It's why I'm excited for some of their stuff coming out later. Like, it's just the open world games, and it comes back to Morrowind for me. So I know a few of you have played Morrowind.
I definitely have. Sorry, I want to take one piece of umbrage though with what you said. You said that you explored the Labyrinth of Ruin. That's a Castlevania game. Sorry.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's tied to
Why are you
Morrowind.
talking
We never
Professor
know.
Umbridge on me, bro? Why are you
Nice.
Harry Pottering me right now? Not cool.
Yeah.
No, I
But
played a lot of Morrowind, both on PC and on the original Xbox. Um, and yeah, that's like it definitely has. When you said mushrooms instead of trees, like all of a sudden like that clicked in my brain.
yeah,
I mean all of that stuff. I I just I mean I don't want to like I'm just gonna give a little aside here. My struggle with them with the Elder Scroll games is I want to completionist them.
okay. Well,
And
good luck.
Yeah.
yeah,
it's-
so the only
The
one I have
whole
ever
game is a piece of candy.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the
Why
only
never
one
finished
that
Skyrim?
the only one that I have ever beaten is Skyrim, and it's because I went in and I said I'm going to do the main story and I'm going to fucking finish this thing. And like 15-20 hours later, I'm like that was it.
Yeah.
I have played
Yeah.
not I mean in the middle here, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours in Oblivion, and I probably have progressed the main story like 5 steps.
Yeah. That's that's pretty much what my experience was with Oblivion. I loved it. Never got close to finishing it because I was just busy exploring all the elf ruins, and that wasn't the story. I didn't give a shit about the Oblivion portals. I was doing everything besides that.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and you're right.
great
It's
game.
like you're right. It's like, oh, a piece of candy. Like you get distracted 20 times just in the way, just moving from one waypoint to the next village. You get distracted by 10 caves every single time, and
Yeah.
it's why I was so kind of disappointed in Starfield, which is the game they just brought out last year, right? And it should be Skyrim in space, and it feels like that in a lot of respects. And the world is interesting, and there's spaceships and people, and the graphics are amazing. The music is awesome. Like a lot of the building blocks are there. But when you're exploring all the planets, of which there's hundreds of planets in Starfield, they're all barren. There's almost
Mhm.
nothing there of substance. So you don't have that Skyrim problem or Morrowind problem where you get distracted. But I hate that.
Ooh,
I want to
piece of
explore and
nothing.
find things. Yeah, piece of nothing. Oh, look, it's a space rock. If you're lucky, it's a rusted satellite dish. Big whoop. But there's nothing like dwarven ruins in Starfield. There's stuff in Starfield, but it feels like you have to go out of your way to find planets that have something on there, and it just does not
Mhm.
feel as fun exploring a dead science lab like it does exploring an egg mine in Morrowind, which is stupid, but it's funny to see. So I kind of like those 3 games that they've released in the Elder Scrolls franchise. I have real doubts and worry about Elder Scrolls 6. Although with their track record on releasing, I'll probably be dead by the time it comes out because it's gonna be decades from now. But I hope they kind of look at Starfield and they go back to what they used to make in terms of their world building, because I really don't like Starfield, but I love the other 3.
Yeah, Morrowind was what made me really start digging into PC gaming. That's why
Yeah,
I had to upgrade. I bought Morrowind thinking, oh yeah, my PC can run this. Took it home. PC couldn't run it.
Mhm.
Turns out I needed a better video card, even though technically my specs were meeting minimum. But it was
Yeah.
as soon as I got out of the ship, game would crash. So it's like, no, this ain't gonna work.
yeah.
Upgraded it, started playing the crap out of it. Absolutely fell in love with it. I loved how you could just get lost and run across various random encounters that were just like, it felt like you were just walking up in the middle of something going down, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes you find
Mhm.
slavers and they're like, hey, leave us alone or we're going to attack you. Or, you
Mhm.
could kill them and release the slaves or take the slaves and sell them somewhere else. Like
Yeah.
the options were open for you to be a good guy or a really terrible person. And it didn't affect the main plot. It just affected how people interacted with you, which was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I fell in love with. I even bought the strategy guide for this game, and it sounds stupid, but I mostly bought it because it was just full of maps that showed
Yeah.
all the little things that you could interact with. It's really cool. There's one on archive.org if you go look at it, the Morrowind Prophecies. You just see like a chunk of the map and a bunch of numbers, and then what those numbers are and what kind of stuff you can find in there. And it's wild. I wish I knew what happened to my book. It's long gone, but
Oof.
it's really cool to see. And yeah, Morrowind. I've never beaten an Elder Scrolls, and I've spent hundreds of hours in all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've tried. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna beat it this time. And then 45 hours later, I'm like, I forgot I was gonna beat it this time.
Squirrel.
You know, it's
Yeah.
still got the best spell system, I think, in any game I played RPG wise, in that you could
Morrowind?
build a spell that does whatever you want. Yeah, and there's no restrictions. Like
Yeah.
you could make a jump spell that lets you fly across the map with chunking your PC's loading as it goes, just stalling
Yeah.
as you're flying through the air, and hopefully you put slow fall so you don't die when you land. But there's spell making in Oblivion, but it was restricted, so you couldn't do broken spells.
Mhm.
But Morrowind didn't care; it let you do whatever you wanted. If you wanted 5 points of every element, go for it. If you want to put armor and damage, you could do it. You could do whatever you want in the spell making, and I loved it for that. Like even the alchemy was interesting. If you collected the certain ingredients and you experimented with combinations to make certain potions, like they did that in other games, but Morrowind I think is the first time I've seen something like that before. And it's really good.
Yeah. Well,
I-
Morrowind just
Mhm.
had more freedom than the subsequent Elder Scrolls games,
Yes.
just in general for the player. Like it even had more armors, like types, like slots to put on your body.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
it just felt more customizable and interesting.
More.
I think
And then more.
I think one of the characters I made was I did unarmored for most of them, but then I did like heavy armor for the arms. So it was like Jax from Mortal Kombat, and I gave him fireball spells just cause. Like the amount of freedom you could do with your builds. If you want to be a samurai or you want to be a cleric, you could do that too. Paladin, go for it. Like, you want to go around as a naked cat punching people, you could totally do that too. I just the freedom was there, and I just never got tired of it.
Look,
I love how
get
you
out
said
of
you have
get out of my head. Get out of my head.
Good job in college.
naked cat
Paladin?
boxing, go. I love how you said you
Paladin?
updated your computer for
Like
Morrowind,
Cleric?
because I also got a new monitor for Morrowind because I was still rocking a monitor where the highest resolution was 800 by 600. So I had to get a new monitor if I wanted to play Morrowind at a better resolution because it's so cramped and low res. It's crazy. It's a game I want to go back to and play again, and I know there's ways to do it with open Morrowind and some mods, but I don't want to ruin that nostalgia memory of playing Morrowind as a young adult, right? Or adult.
Sure.
I guess I was 20. So
Fair.
Yeah, I had that happen. Not video games, but I went back and watched some Thundercats,
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
and I kind of wish I hadn't.
Been there.
Yep.
Been there.
I feel like there was supposed to be more to that story because now
Oh,
I'm like, wait a
well,
second.
okay. So let me explain. The problem that I ran into is like every time they had a problem to solve,
Mhm.
they would describe how they were going to solve it, and then they would do the thing, and it would turn out exactly the way that they described it. And so it's like, this is filler to make these shows longer. And as
Sounds
a
like
kid,
my
I didn't
weekend.
give a shit. As a kid, I didn't give a shit, right?
Mhm.
But as an adult, I'm like, my time is finite, and where's the content?
Okay. Here's what we have to do. We have to take the audio track from Ocean's 11 and we have to put it over, a long episode of Thundercats because that's basically what you're describing.
yeah.
Yeah.
How funny. Lionel, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to run a Boski. We're a Looky Loo.
Yeah.
Bundle
You
of
could
joy.
just you could make like super cuts where they're
Yeah.
talking over what they're doing,
Yeah.
like a montage kind
could.
of thing.
You could.
Make
Yeah.
the episode like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem is the episode would be 8 minutes.
Just say, don't get me started on Dragon Ball Z and abridging that shit.
Oh,
Oh,
have
20
I been,
minutes of
so
charging
good.
Another
and
one.
10 minutes
Yeah.
of show
so good.
content.
have
That
I
said,
been
but-
saying that wrong my entire life? I
What?
always thought it was Dragon Balls.
Dragon Balls.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Dragon
Tread
B's
lightly,
nuts.
for you tread on my you tread on my dreams. You guys ever watch Dragon Ball?
not the Z's, but the B's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dragon Ball
All
guy
right, very
time.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morrowind.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Morrowind was the first of the series where I became aware of Elder Scrolls. It was the first time.
Arena was okay. I played all of them. It really fleshed itself out when I hit Morrowind. So, I mean, if
I've
you
only
want the nostalgia factor, go back and play the first two. But really start at Morrowind. It's kind of like Fallout. There's Fallout that was, the isometric top down, and then there's Fallout 3, and they really are kind of two universes in the same, or two games in the same universe, right? So
What were you
I
going
mean,
to
I
say
love
there?
Fallout
Wolf?
2,
I-
but Fallout 3 is where it goes hard for me. I love that one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you
And
going to say, Wolf?
It occurred to me. I remembered I had a question for Sinistar earlier when he
Oh.
said he spent hundreds of hours both in the PC version and Xbox version. How on the Xbox version? That frame rate is awful.
Look, it was a different time.
Yeah, and you had it on PC.
Well, I think I got it on the Xbox first.
Oh,
Clearly.
okay.
Yeah.
It was a gateway.
That
It
would
had to be a
explain it.
gateway because then you're like,
Yeah.
this is so much fucking better than anything I've ever seen in
I
my life.
remember
I was a PC
I remember having
gamer.
it on PC and seeing it at Best Buy set up on an Xbox. And I was like, oh, let me check this out. This is terrible.
So let me give a little background. There was a period of time, because I was a PC gamer, as you guys know, from like day one. But there was a time when I got an Xbox and I may have put a Matrix chip in it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And so I spent basically all my time on the Xbox for like a year.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so honestly, I think that's the direction it went.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's bizarre because I can't imagine playing Morrowind on a console and a controller. Skyrim runs just fine on console, and I played Oblivion on the Xbox 360, and it was okay, but the Morrowind interface on Xbox feels wrong.
It was
It doesn't-
janky.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's switch gears over to Chard. What do you got for us today, sir?
Well,
What
that was quite
formed
the lead-in.
you?
What for me? Terraforming for me. So I know a lot of people are probably anticipating something that has to do with Dark Souls or Final Fantasy or
Look, are we going to
something
have
along those
another
lines.
Elden Ring episode or what?
Yeah, but Elden Ring was the big. I'll sleep when I dead space. No, I was really digging deep because I gush about the same. I feel like I gush about the same like 3 series all the time here, and it just so happens that a series that I have not gushed about a lot, but I truly do enjoy and have been revisiting lately because there is going to be a revisitable remake of it coming here soon, and it really diving deep, it really brought out my horror survivor love that I play quite often now. It was the first thing I played before we played Visage and Summer 58 and Devour and Phasmo and all that crap. Although Phasmo is more of a Ghost Adventures thing than, because it's more the ghost hunting than anything. But I played Silent Hill 2 many, many, many years ago, 2002. I think it came out in 01. So not too long after its release on the PlayStation 2. And I had never played, I played Doom, I don't know, Doom 3 was after that. So this was probably my first horror game that I willingly purchased and played because I had heard things about the first Silent Hill. I had dabbled with Resident Evil, but never enough to say like I'm gonna play this shit. I got scared by the jogs jumping out the window, and I said, "Fuck this, I'm done." I was never known for being an enjoyer of horror movies or horror video games or anything along those lines, and I was like, I am gonna sit down and I'm gonna force my way through this game and get it done. And it was different than Resident Evil because Resident Evil had the zombies everywhere you turned. This game was a psychological mind fuck from start to finish. There's a lot of lull at the beginning that you see because you're dealing with the fog and you're trying to navigate through the town, and you see like 1 or 2 enemies here and there. It wasn't really based on what enemies were there. It was based on the surroundings, the environment, the sound, which is what I'm a huge fan of any game that really messes with your head with sound, like Alien Isolation, for instance, has probably one of the greatest soundtracks, the Dead Space games, the remake soundtrack, all of that stuff is what really brings me in. And it turns out that it's not action horror that I'm about. It is the slow burn of a psychological mindfuck because you have Silent Hill 2, which I think is the kind of the pinnacle. Then you have Silent Hill 3, which was a great bleed into with like both whatevers. And then you went all the way to PT, right? You have Silent Hill PT that was never released, that was being made, which then spawned all these different carbon copies, which was one of our favorite horror games we've played lately, Visage, comes from the PT code. Essentially, it's designed the same exact way. And I didn't think about that until I started replaying it now, which we're playing it on Twitch right now. And I was like, holy crap, like I get it now. Like it makes sense why I like the Madisons, why I like the Visages, why I like all these different styles. It's because it's the same slow burn of trying to figure out the story as you're playing, but it not being totally clear to you what's going on. But you're deciding there's all these puzzles that you have to solve while trying to stay alive, but you are literally sweating trying to figure this stuff out as you hear Pyramid Head, his first appearance in the Silent Hill series was 2, dragging his giant knife towards you, and you're trying to unlock a door, but he's slow. It's a slow walk. He's not running at you. He's not jumping through a window. You just know he's behind you. And with the way the camera angles, now the remake is going to be like the Resident Evil remakes, where it's a third person over the shoulder kind of look. They take the tank controls out, which I'm excited about. And though I hate tank controls for the most part, it actually really works well in Silent Hill 2 because of the way that the camera angles work and the psychological warfare that you're fighting in your head as you're trying to escape these things chasing you. Um, I finished that game. I was so proud of myself because I actually finished a scary game that still I got some jump scares from the last time we played it a couple last weekend.
Yeah.
Still from a PS2 era game, it still got those pops. So I think that is the seeds that were laid that turned me into the horror enjoyment streamer and player that I am today. I didn't even think about it until till GP brought up this discussion. And I went, yeah, I'll just talk about Final Fantasy. It's just that's because that's what I always fucking talk about. Because it did do a lot. But what got me into this? I don't know what got me into this vein other than I just want to scare myself stupid. It had to come from there. You know?
I want to call out. I played Resident Evil 1 before I ever played the Silent Hill games.
Yeah.
And to me, the thing that I love about Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 is, and you touched on this, is you say the sound. To me, it's that absolute feeling of desolation. It is that absolute feeling of like, like this place seems empty and feels empty until all of a sudden it's not, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And you see there's characters that you have interactions with. Now the voice, let's just talk about the voiceover is not as good as it used to be. It's a product of its time. So it's just like Thundercats. It's a product of its time.
Lost?
Yeah. It's still
Like she's unfamiliar with the word.
Yeah.
Just what got me was the graphic style of Silent Hill. Why is everything so covered in rust? Like the entire town is made of sheet metal.
Well,
is that what it is? You're in hell?
mean,
Is that
there's
okay.
there's also a permanent mist at basically all times, which of
until
course is gonna
oxidize
everything, right?
You're going scientific.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But I mean, it's either going to get covered in moss or it's going to rust.
One of the very few saltwater lakes in the middle of America.
Well, I mean the same thing with Last of Us, right? Everything is either covered in moss or rust, right? Well, why? Because
which is
it's
true, understandable. But even when you see people in Silent Hill 2 to interact with, like actual, not the weird fucking demons you're running into, but the actual people, you're like excited to be like, oh shit, I get to talk to somebody who is of human.
It's not a murder hobo.
Yeah, and then you talk to them and you're like, you're worse than the things that I am literally being chased by. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And it just watching the story kind of unfold as you're going through and watching James Sunderland like go click, and this is really cool. It's like psychological games like this that make you really think that like your fears are being projected into reality really take me places. Like I don't know what it is about it to be like, this is all just meant, this is all in your head that's happening, but you're projecting it, and it's just really cool to see that kind of thing in action. Personally, for me, I'm a big fan of seeing that. So Yeah, so I blame Silent 2 for my sick and twisted October stream fest that we're going to be playing this week.
Love
So,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, but
This
an
is a
amazing
game-
game. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
This is the game that has the Shiba Inu ending, right? I think we talked about
Yes.
this in the past. Before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want the remake to
It's
have
the
that
weirdest
ending, and if
ending.
it doesn't, I'm gonna be upset. But
I'm
it's
pretty
in-
sure it does, because if you special order it, you get the Shiba Inu fucking helmet you can
Uh-oh.
wear. It's got the fucking the big cans, you know, the earphones on it.
Big Kansas
I-
is a
and
mod
I-
chart. They'll come too. It's on the Unreal 5 engine. Trust me, they're gonna mod that game like they do Resident Evil, and it's
Oh,
gonna be a thing on
You kidding
TikTok.
me? James is gonna
Yeah.
be thick.
What were you
Don't
gonna-
most of the don't most of the Silent Hills have like the sort of joke ending?
Yeah. I don't know about most
Yeah.
of them. I think 2 is the most flushed out and most, I don't want to say
Yeah.
obvious, because it's not obvious. You have to go looking
Well, one
for it,
had
but
like
it's the most
alien
famous.
joke ending,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then 2 had the Shiba Inu joke ending. I think 3 had a
Mhm.
joke ending, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if they kept that going after that, but it was a pretty strong point of it early
Yeah.
on. Like,
I
If you
want to
get
point
a,
out before we get too far away from this, GP has a picture of himself as Pyramid Head.
Oh yeah.
you get a DLC download for a Pyramid Head helmet, but it's made out of pizza boxes.
I'm talking IRL Halloween costume.
I'm just saying, in the game, in the remake,
Yeah.
if you pre-order it, you get a pizza box Pyramid Head you can wear
Nice.
in the
Nice.
game. And I was like,
I've
what
heard
the
nothing but
fuck?
good things about the remake that's coming out. Like I know, like the company that's making Blooper, was it Blooper Team? I think they're called Blooper
Yes.
Team. People have been shitting on them for some of their past releases, but I was looking on Wikipedia for the studio, and most of their past releases were like okay, set low
Mhm.
70s, right? So it's nice to see them get Silent Hill 2 remake and just knock it out of the park. Like I haven't seen a review under 8.5. Like it's always 8.5 plus, which is
Can't wait.
nice to see, right?
We'll
So
do a
I'm
don't worry, we'll do a
glad
whole
for you.
nother episode on that
Yeah.
specific game here in the coming weeks, because we'll be firing it up on Sunday. But yeah, I just, the more I think about what really got me into the scary games that I play now, it is definitely stemmed from that particular moment of me sitting in Germany with the lights out in
Ooh.
my apartment living room, playing this goddamn terrible
Oof.
game with these tank controls, and having a real hard time getting through all this fog and this weird straitjacket thing that's spitting on me. It's getting me the old Hawk Tua before it became a Hawk Tua, trademark. But yeah,
It's too
no,
late.
it's
Silent Hill 2, Hawk Tour.
Silent Hill Hawk 2
Oh my God.
remake.
It sounds like a podcast to me.
Getting
Yeah.
sued. All right. Coming
Very
after
cool.
us.
No, I love
So,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, Silent Hill as a franchise, fantastic. I'm kind of like Sinister. I had hit up the Resident Evil series before I had been made aware of Silent Hill. But I remember when the first advertisements even came out for Silent Hill, I thought I was pretty badass because I enjoyed Resident Evil, and then I remember seeing some of the artwork and then some of the advertisements for Silent Hill and tapping out and saying, I don't think that's going to be for me. And then I remember when 2 came out, and then there's the buzz around that, and then the inclusion of Pyramid Head and all that, and yeah, they just did a really good job of setting it up, giving you enough to make you want to find out more, and then really that game does just grab you and bring you in. And it's one of those things where it does kind of, I don't say double dip, but it gives you the worst of both worlds. Where if you're a social person, you think desolation is as bad as it can get. I don't want to be alone. And it puts you in that feeling, like you said. But then
Yeah.
it also turns that sideways and says, but you're not alone. And somehow that's worse. And
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
this really great, creepy, freaky. I mean, you
Yeah.
were talking about being in Germany, lights off, playing it in your apartment. And all I could think about was, I know that feeling. I can think, I can bring that in, and it just immediately gave me the chills.
I
And I
have
love it.
this experience because PC gamer. I have this experience. My buddy and I, Soul Archaic, we were just out of high school. This wasn't Silent Hill. This wasn't
That's right.
this was Alone in the Dark on the PC.
Okay.
and Alone in the Dark on the PC, like the graphics were bad, and so like it wasn't so much the graphics, it was the sound, right? Because every once in a while there's like creaks and like noises and stuff like that. Well, he and I have been playing. He and I have been playing this one night, and the sun has gone down, and we have not turned on any lights in the house. And so it's literally us in front of a CRT monitor with like the glow of the monitor. And brother of sin comes home because I lived with him. He was my roommate, and he comes home and he like walks to the doorway to my bedroom where my computer was, and he looks at both of us. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And we both are like,
Silent scream.
yeah. For those that are listening, it was very much a look over and like, what the fuck face.
Yeah.
Mouth agape.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel that. I mean, that also, when I played Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2, I didn't have quite that level, but it was very similar kind of feeling.
Oh, for me, Resident Evil felt like a horror, like a bad horror movie with zombies and puzzles, right? So it had the jump scares, but it didn't have me on edge.
Yeah.
Silent Hill, like it drew on that terror, that fear, that like what's gonna happen. I have to be ready for anything. And sure enough, the next thing that happens, you're not ready for.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Silent Hill's a game that had skinless toddlers with butcher knives. At least the first one did. And
Yeah,
that's just,
you get
yeah,
that.
that's just fucked up no matter how you
We'll
spin
see
it.
your
That game
dog.
is so horror. Like, it's
Yeah.
a horror game. Resident Evil, I like Resident Evil 2 and 3 a lot. But you're right. They're puzzle games. They're bad movie games. They are not horror games like Silent Hill. Silent Hill, I can't sit through because of the terror.
That siren, and then all of a sudden
Siren
everything
is
goes
awful.
dark, and you
Yeah.
start hearing the radio white noise.
Yep.
And all you've got is your flashlight, and everything's rusty and dark. And then you see that little figure just dip through the light a little bit before it starts coming over to you with that
It's
little
so
knife.
perfect. It's so well designed to
Or-
just
or,
really
you know,
mess
in the
with you for
school,
what it is.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
baby laughing and the rattles. Oh my god.
Yep.
Silent
God.
Hill is to Mortal Kombat as Resident Evil is to Street Fighter.
I could
Both
yeah,
with their
I could go
merits,
for that.
but one is much more intense. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good pick. Good
Thank you.
pick.
Thank you.
I wouldn't
Good
Very
say
picks.
that was a formative game for me, but it did make me form some dookie in my pants. And any semblance of maturity I may have displayed throughout this episode, I wanted to do away with that. And that's what that
That's
was.
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well,
Good pick.
you've got to walk into your pick, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
The perfect lead in,
what-
right?
Yeah, there you
So
go.
I will
what
do my
dookie are you sitting in?
I will do my best to be brief with this. When the conversation came up about this topic, there of course are a bunch of things, kind of like Chard was saying, that I could talk about, but you've all heard me talk about them ad nauseum. Final Fantasy IV, the Mega Man games, the Mario games, and I started realizing I, especially early on, loved familiarity, and I think we're all that way. I mean, we're on a retro video game podcast. We each have had our retro themed Twitch channels and all these things. But really, if I look at that, it was always the platformers. You know, Mario specifically, and that'll pay off here in a second. The Mega Man games, so on and so forth. But then when I think about Final Fantasy, for so long I really just enjoyed 4. And I've said this before. Whenever I would try to boot up a new Final Fantasy, I would just get mad that it wasn't Final Fantasy 4 and go back to play 4. And the game that really shook me from that is the one that I wanted to talk about today. And that's Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Super Nintendo came out in 96.
Great pick.
It's a great pick. It's a hidden gem. I get it.
Yep.
But yeah, deep cuts. The thing is, by then Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 as we know it now had come out, and I was familiar with the game from watching family members play it, but I hadn't been into it. And at that point, all we had were Final Fantasies 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 4, and 6, however you want to say it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
4, of course, being just my jam and my comfort game. But whenever I knew there was a big game that I wanted to play, I would kind of like back out at the last second because for whatever reason, life, being a kid, I didn't feel I had the bandwidth for it. There's all these new characters, all new mechanics, all new everything. I didn't want that. So Mario RPG gets announced and they start ramping up the advertisement for that, and I was like pumped. And I've told this story before, but this is the first game I paid for with my own money, put it on layaway at Walmart, and I remember taking it home and just being so pumped. But this was like a good middle of the Venn diagram for me between what's familiar and then what's, kind of new, but still in that RPG franchise or that RPG genre that I like, but really just the one example of it. So I wanted to see where that would go. And I just thought there's not going to be so much to learn because I know the Mushroom Kingdom, I know the characters, but RPG gave us new characters. They gave us Gino, they gave us Mallow, Smithy, and all of them, and they gave us new mechanics, the timed hits specifically, and all these different things, all the different places to go visit that were never before seen in any Mario thing. And I just thought if I could handle this and enjoy it, surely I can fall in love with other RPGs. And sure enough, that's what happened. And now RPGs, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, all these things are such a mainstay in my world. And I think I owe a lot of that to Mario RPG.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
that
that.
combat is some of the best combat in RPGs to this day. I still say it
Yeah.
holds up. I love that timed hits. I like the limited characters, but I like the spells and the abilities they have. I love all of it. It's up there with Chrono Trigger for me in terms of favorite combat engine. Had a
Yeah.
bunch of mini games, Easter eggs, secrets. I mean, it's
The
a lot to
graphics
like.
for the
I
time
even
were like next level too. I mean,
pretty
it was
good.
just
Yeah,
Right.
Oh, I mean,
sound design was good.
it required that chip inside the cartridge, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Sure.
it was definitely pushing the limits of the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanna bond with GP for a minute here because we're gonna have a
Yeah.
bondage
We get
moment
into
real
the
quick. Yeah.
yes.
Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Drink it. Um when I got Final Fantasy 2/4, I was the same way. I was very adamant about this every time we'd play a different RPG, and being a Sega kid growing up and playing Final Fantasy 4 at my friend's place, having to come home and play, Fantasy Star 4 or Shining Force or something, it did not equate to what Final Fantasy was. I was so adamant about not wanting to play anything outside of 4 because it is a comfort game. It's a great story, it's fantastic music, you love the characters, this, that, and the other. But Chrono Trigger for me was your Mario RPG that got me out
Sure.
of just being in 4, and then I fell in love with 6, and it goes from there. um to go on Mario RPG, when we played it on the stream, it's cool. It's a cool game. I love the timed attack hits. I really enjoyed that. I like the kind of goofy storyline of, and bringing Bowser in and him not being your enemy, him being your partner through the whole thing because he's got something to gain out of it and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Enemy of my
It
enemy.
was
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked a lot of the tongue in cheek stuff, which I'm always a fan of, but his ability to like he was using a chomp chain as a weapon
Hmm.
and all this other like Mario-esque type stuff in an RPG. And then of course the hit secret hidden boss in a Mario RPG has the Final Fantasy 4 fight music to it.
Culex or
Um
whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Culex. That
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I We jokingly shit on it from time to time, but to be completely honest with you, I wouldn't have finished it if I didn't enjoy it in some facsimile of it.
where was
Well,
this on the episode we did on this?
I'm
Where
gonna
you
I'm
guys
It wasn't
literally
gonna
a
dumped
terrible
on it
game,
for an
but I
hour.
love GP and I want to
now
be
now
nice
hold
during his pick and not be a dick.
now
Well,
hold on. I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say, like, even though I did not enjoy Mario RPG as a whole,
Hmm.
honestly, I think
Cool.
it had, yeah, on the whole, it had the so many tropes that have, or things that have continued through. Like, I love the Paper Marios that have that, that
Hmm.
timed hit. I
Hmm.
love, um honestly, my biggest problem with Mario RPG was I hated the platforming in it,
Yes, Rich.
and the
Right.
music was so repetitive, it was tiresome. Like,
Yep.
otherwise, like, it was a good game. It was. It
Yeah.
just it I got so tired of that music by the end of it that I was like, I'm done with this now. I'm tired
I'm
of it.
gonna say every time GP and I have a discussion about something, I feel like I shit on it. So today I was
Yeah.
trying to be non-shit on for him
No,
because
and
I love him. And this is a good game.
no, I want it to be clear that I value what Super Mario RPG led to. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Beatles, but I absolutely know what the Beatles
Oh,
did.
you're
for
using
music,
my Beatle
right?
trope. You're
I
using
am.
my
I
Beatles
am.
No, but
reference.
it's fair.
But
It's fair.
It is.
but that is
Translate is
what Super Mario RPG is
Yeah.
to like so many games after. It's
Mhm.
it's the Beatles leading into, yeah.
Well, and to go back to Charge thing real quick with Chrono Trigger, like what a cool game that is, and a near perfect game. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but if you consider what Mario RPG accomplished, considering the already established, albeit varied
Market. Yeah.
IP, like it's even more impressive to look at it, kind of like as an adult who appreciates that side of it now. Like it
Right.
really was this wonderful moment in time for that game. I don't think if it had gone much different, we would have ended up with what we have, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
super
You
special for that
can
reason.
argue it's almost kind of a brave step forward for them to take the Mario platforming IP that we've seen forever and go to Square and be like, make this an RPG, and
Yeah.
how successful it was. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a huge
Yeah.
game. Everybody but like Sinistar and I are the only people
Well,
that
and also the history of the development of
old.
that game with Square and with Enix and all this stuff is
Yeah.
very well documented, and you can find a million videos over it on YouTube. And you should, if you don't know the history and the story behind it with some of the Nintendo higher ups and specifically some of the Final Fantasy people and their involvement, it's worth a good watch. But
Totally.
I think I have the disadvantage that I didn't I only barely touched Super Mario RPG when it came out.
yeah,
I played it as an adult, and so the problem is like I look at the platforming now, it's so janky. I look at the repetitive music, I'm like, we have so much better. And that's the problem, is like as an adult, I see the the little cracks in the varnish, right?
Mm.
There's no nostalgia for people who played it in their 40s as opposed to the people that
Yeah.
played it when it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I
so
think that's my problem
I'm
too.
not a huge fan of the game anymore, but I played it. I think I played it through twice when it came
Mhm.
out. Like I was into it then. I do agree the music gets repetitive, and I've shit on it too as an adult. But when I was 13 and this was a brand new RPG, and I was just like, "Give me all the RPGs." This one was like, "Yeah, that'll do."
yeah,
That'll
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
Dave.
yeah.
put it
And
in
it,
there.
and it kind
Absolutely.
of set the expectation for future RPGs
Yep.
with what it
Definitely.
added to the format.
Sure.
And so,
Sure.
and
No,
it's
and I love
for
the games
years
that have
prior to this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I said this before, but I love the games that came out of this. Like I love the Mario and Luigi games on the DS and DS 3DS. I love the Paper Mario. They all came from this game. They all came from this game. So sorry, Wolf. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say for years prior to this, I had kind of been I'd started reading the Sonic comics. And so, being into RPGs and reading the Sonic comics, I was like, why don't they make this an RPG? This would be great.
That would be
And so I would do like fan art of like a Sonic RPG.
That's cool.
And then when we finally got a Sonic RPG, it was the hottest fucking garbage.
They
Same
had
thing
one?
with Mega Man.
At least
You
Mario
got that
RPG
Mega
was
Man
good.
RPG. Yeah.
What was the Sonic RPG
Yeah,
on?
like Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood for the DS.
Which
That
is a
was an
metal fucking
RPG?
name.
It's a Castlevania
Yes,
name.
Dark Chronicles of the Night.
Dark Chronicles
Chronicles
of the
of the
Sorrow and
Brotherhood.
Night.
And okay, there's a game that I don't talk about enough. In fact, I'm not sure I've really talked about it much at all in the history of the entire podcast. But Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I do love that game.
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
that cart forever. But we got that because Japanese manufacturers or game developers didn't think Western audiences were hip
Yeah.
to what RPGs were doing.
Yeah.
So they did it as kind of like this, I don't say beta test, but dipping their toes in the water to see if we would dig it.
It was throwing
And
us
man,
a
I tell
bone.
you, if they had just done Mario RPG instead, we would have got the full force of it.
Yeah, but
'cause
you wouldn't have
we
that
would've
fucking
great
banging
experience.
soundtrack because
Yeah.
that
Mystic Quest
soundtrack is
soundtrack was
fucking
really
killer.
damn
Yeah.
good.
If
There's a
there's
place in my heart
anything-
for Mystic Quest. There is a place in
Absolutely.
my heart. Yeah.
there's anything that Mystic Quest does perfectly right, it's that fucking soundtrack. It's so good.
I also like
Wolf-
that it's not like you can't explore you can go point A to point B.
Right.
That's about it.
Right.
That helped
Very
out.
linear, very
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
line.
Very
I'm
linear,
playing a board game
very
RPG.
mindful.
I'm looking at
Very
screenshots of that Sonic RPG. I didn't know this even existed, and I kind of want to play it. This
You
looks.
At your
don't.
own risk.
No, you don't.
Okay.
We'll tell you no.
Watch a
Listen to
playthrough.
Wolf.
Wait.
That's
Hey,
crazy.
Wolf. He likes Circus Charlie. Maybe he'll like it.
Oh,
the
yeah,
old
it's true.
RPG.
And Sonic
Circus Charlie.
06. So
Yeah.
No, I don't like
Oh.
Sonic 06. I just want everybody in the world to play it, so we can all like share that experience of the joy of playing Sonic 06 together as a squad goal. We all need to play it, but nobody's going to enjoy it. Nobody, except for people who maybe watch us play it. So,
I do
anyway.
want to say this though, and this is kind of like to my detriment instead of to my credit, because we all know how much I love saying to my credit. The
And Venn
lessons
diagram.
that I gleaned though from playing Mario RPG and saying, okay, maybe you can handle a bigger game and all this kind of stuff. I've defaulted back to my standard state twice since then as a kid. Once was my freshman year of college when Metroid Prime came out. And all my friends were like, you got to watch, you got to play, you got to do all this. I said, I again, don't have the bandwidth, don't have the time. I got other shit I got to do. But then I played it, loved it. And it's, one of my top 10 probably favorite games of all time. And I'm currently sitting in it with Final Fantasy X because 2 years now I've been supposed to be playing this game. And I've been like, no, I got too much stuff going on. And I know for a fact how much I will love that game if I really get into it. But
I
I
hope
need
you
to.
do.
Let's
a good game.
also be fair. My problem is time, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I figured out how to make the time for Witcher 3, but like it was at like the detriment of everything else I was doing, right? I mean, so
Right.
yeah. Adulting kind of sucks sometimes.
Adulting sucks.
It's okay, GP. We've seen you playing Balatro on Discord. We know what you're doing.
Actually, I got to play it
I
for
got
because you're a
time,
few minutes late
Balatro.
today, so I fired it up. And I mentioned it to my wife before coming down here. I'm like, "Hey, do you remember Balatro?" And we haven't played it in like a month or month and a half.
Yeah.
And
Gotta get that Balatro bump.
I miss
It's on,
it.
yeah, well,
it's on
now it's on
phones
your
now.
phone.
Yeah, I lost my wife to this game for the last 2 weeks, or the last week
Oh
and
my
a half.
goodness.
She won't put it down.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
So
No,
Yeah,
I
I gotta-
honestly, Super Mario RPG is a great pick. As much
Yeah.
as I have struggles with that game, I see the legacy that it led to, and so I think it is a great pick. It is a formative pick.
Yeah.
For not just you,
Yeah.
but for the industry.
Well, yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, it's just one of those things. Without it, I wouldn't have been brave enough to open the doors I opened and gone through and all that kind of stuff. Whatever. So I'm happy it's there, and it holds a special place right there.
In
In the
the
cockles.
width, in the width on your shirt.
Yeah, in the width.
Yeah.
In the theater.
Width.
So I like this episode, guys. This was a fun one. I was having been gone for a couple of months. I was afraid to do kind of a more conceptual episode instead of a straight discussion, but I think this worked out well. I've missed you guys so much, but the work you've been putting out while I've been gone has been top tier as always. And I always hate to leave because I'm like I miss hanging out with you guys, but I also hate to hear how good you guys do without me because then I'm like I don't need me for anything. This is great.
Bullshit.
No,
Yeah.
You're
no,
very
it's
much
you
a
know.
needed person in this day.
No, it's like when the kid, learns to ride the bike. You like being there to help him and pick him up, and then he starts doing it without you, and you're like, well, guess I'll go play Mario RPG or something. So
fall off the bike.
GP, we know you're busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and we love having you around when you can make it.
Yeah,
well,
it's
it's
just great
been
to have
fun.
you here.
Thank you very
That's all.
much.
Consequently, that one-legged
Yeah.
man has two hands to play Balatro, but that's cool.
That's
Oh,
that's right.
See, and I fucking knew it. I shouldn't have fired it up for that 10 minutes that I only had because somebody else was
10
late.
minutes.
Yeah.
Shoulda-
Don't blame me for your addiction. It's okay.
No, here's what sucks is I didn't even win that round. If I had won, I would be a little bit more like, whatever. That's fine.
Fucking blind.
I'll see you guys in December.
Anyway,
All right. So, yeah, let's wrap this up and land the plane and tell everybody where they can find you and what you're up to. Sinistar, if you wouldn't mind starting us off.
Well, I have been DJ Spinistarring and I've kind of actually toned that back a little bit because for those that are unaware, Sinstress and I are in the process of buying a new to us house.
Can't make
Yeah,
the noise, air horn.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And
You can do it
and
in
it's
post.
likely going to impact me more and more until it doesn't. I will probably be here and away, depending on the week, until mid-November, probably.
Awesome. All right. And Sick Jake?
Yeah, I've mostly been playing games. I've been playing a crap ton of UFO 50. I'm trying to get through a few more of those. Yeah, I know, Wolf. Me and you both, man. I'm getting kind of down that rabbit hole of the secrets and the secret codes, and I want to kind of break into that a bit more. So, playing a lot of that. I've tried to like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I'm really trying, really freaking trying hard, but I think I might hate this game. And it sucks because I love Link's Awakening. It's the same style as that, but it's
Well,
something about the
do
table.
glitch that lets you play through as Link instead.
Is there a glitch for that?
Look,
Shit.
There is.
Look,
There's a glitch for that.
learn to love building tables.
Yeah,
I'm so
IKEA.
sick. I got so sick of tables and beds as platforms. I've been using the spider to just climb everywhere, and it just feels anyway. I really don't like that game. To the point where I went and bought Diablo 4 expansion. So I'm going down that rabbit hole. I might record something about Diablo 4. I don't know. I'm debating on it. I don't know if I want to sit at my desk and play that game or if it's just more of like the Steam Deck thing. We'll see.
Do it.
I'm mostly playing UFO 50. Everybody play UFO 50. If you don't own it, go buy it. Support indies. But that game is fantastic.
There might have been a podcast that did an episode on it last week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love that episode. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but the thumbnail for it was really good.
Like you in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Game of the
Yeah.
year, but I haven't finished
Oh, jeez. I finished it and then went right back to Balatro. We've established it. What was that from
Yeah.
Zoolander when Hansel's talking about like listening? I might be misquoting that, but it's like, I love you too, the band. I don't really listen to their music, but the fact that they're out there making that music, I think is great.
Yeah.
And then Werewolf, where can people find you? What are you up to lately?
Yeah, I have also been playing way too much UFO 50. It's like a highlight reel of games that never existed in the 80s.
Yeah.
I love everything you're saying.
It's a really good way to sum it up. But oh man, I need to step away from it finally. I've also been listening to Adam Savage's book, Every Tool's a Hammer, which is really interesting.
Aggressive maintenance. I love it.
His wry wit is so good. I recently heard him tell a story about when him and Jamie were butting heads over what color of a net to use for well, it's not important to hear.
I heard that one.
You know the
The
story?
white or the black? Yeah.
Yeah. And basically the lesson was, do I need to go to war about this right now? Or will it later take care of itself? Yeah.
I
good
love
life
his
lesson.
stories.
And then Chart, tell us more about, well, obviously you mentioned October is a big month for you. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, most of you know that during October we go full spooky game season, and this one is no exception. We are doing the original Silent Hill 2 remake or 2 playthrough right now. I'm hoping to get on tonight after the podcast is done. A little tired, so I don't know if I will or not. We're going to leave that tentative, but we'll definitely be back tomorrow before I head to Hans Zimmer, and then Sunday we get early access to the remake, so we'll be playing that to completion. And then we're going to do Dead Space remake again because I really want to play that one again, and then a smattering of some Devour with the team, and maybe some Phasmo, maybe some quick one-offs, Father's Days, find yourselves. Just bring a diaper or towel.
As long as that fucking statue for Madison doesn't show up again.
We might play Madison just so the statue can come back.
God damn it.
We'll see. We only got 4 weeks, so I always have these grandiose ideas, and I end up playing like 1 or 2 of them. So we'll see how long it takes us to get through the remake of Silent Hill and Dead Space, and then kind of figure out where we're going from there. You can find me on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/Chardmonk. I've also been playing a ton of UFO 50 as well, plus Bayonetta has resurfaced as a excellent playthrough on my Steam Deck at night. Can't believe how good that game is translated. And you want to talk about something that's the meaning of its time. Holy shit. I remember it being as goofy and as lewd as it was when I first played it, but I didn't remember it being this goofy and lewd. So nothing like a very sexualized witch beating the shit out of angels. It's a fantastic game. Go buy Bayonetta. It's on sale on Steam, or at least it was.
Plus guns attached to her shoes,
Fantastic. It's Devil May Cry, but with witches and angels. I
Yeah.
still don't understand why they haven't made a crossover between the two games. I know one's Sega and one's Capcom, but guys, get your heads together.
Yeah.
This is a perfect marriage of two games.
So
Directed by Robert
asks,
Rodriguez.
Sinstress asks a good question. When is Visage?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Visage.
I don't know if I'm ready for another round of families and bad openings to
Come
games.
on,
Yes, you are.
Disco.
You
Come
are
on, Disco.
very-
No, I'm good. I'm
Or
good this
Rave.
year.
Sorry, Rave.
It's a rave, but yeah, I'm good this year.
And
I didn't drink the tea.
And fucking talking fridges and
I don't
and
need
toast.
another
Come on,
twat
man.
freezer right now.
And Polaroids.
Chard, we
Yeah,
gotta
Polaroids.
play the
Backrooms.
Backrooms game that you got recently.
Oh my god.
I agree. I think we should get that. I don't know who else on the team has it. If not, we'll have to figure out how to make that work. And
I have a Backrooms game. I don't know.
you
if
have
it's
the one that we
you're
were
talking
originally
about.
playing, but Wolf and I got a different, newer one. No, I don't know if it's newer, but it's a different one. It's supposed to be
Alright.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's a different
So-
one. It was pretty good. I played through that one. Oh, I also
yeah.
should mention tangent. I beat The Ascent with my friend.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was a good
Yeah.
game.
Nice. Okay.
congrats.
And then I'm also
GP's all
beating
around.
these guys in the critics
Fuck you and the fantasy critic.
fantasy critic.
Oh my gosh.
I'm getting
Crushing
slaughtered.
it.
Half my games aren't even
I'm-
going to come out this year.
I'm just glad that one of my picks is hurting you.
That's fine. You're still in second place.
And one of your picks is
and
hurting
projected
me,
to remain
so-
there, so it's cool.
Yeah, like Chard, you're winning by 2 points. I think you said earlier today. Right now,
I think one actually, only one.
Well,
It's the right predecessor for a whole point.
That's the projection. That's the projection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
We'll
the
see
projection.
what happens when what's the
Snake
new
Eater
RPG
doesn't
that's
come
coming out?
Delta.
The Dragon
Metaphor
Age.
Refantasio?
When
Oh,
Val-
Dragon
when
Age.
Veilguard
Veilguard.
when Veilguard
Yeah.
comes out.
Oh, I hope that thing
We'll
takes
see.
dope.
I love the Dragon Age games.
I do too, but because you have it, I hope it takes shit.
You,
I don't want
Okay,
your
so
quarterback to
I
break
wanna-
his leg, but I want him to lose really bad.
I want to point out that Charter says, I would love a game series that I love to be shit, just so that I can,
Welcome to Fantasy League, baby.
We don't even have money on this league. What the hell?
Doesn't
It's
matter.
just pure
You
spite
tapped
as
into my
reward.
competitive spirit. This is Quidditch. It'd be a whole nother ball game or
this
quaffle
is
game.
This is probably a good time to mention. We think we're going to be doing this again next year. Go look up Fantasy Critic. We probably will involve the community next year.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good time. I can't just keep kicking these guys' asses. I need to add some more challenges.
Oh my
Come on.
god. Line them up.
I can talk big now because I'm winning.
For now.
For now.
For now.
okay.
Yeah, it'll
Alright,
change
fellas.
when I'm losing, but right now I'm big boy.
Well,
Yeah,
I've got to get going to finish up some Ballatro. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to end on a losing note, so we got to get back to that. But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. And I should tell you, I'm Guy Prime. I'm basically here 24/7, and that's 24 episodes every 7 years. So keep tuning back in.
Keep that streak going.
Yeah, and you can find us here on YouTube, and then of course anywhere podcasts can be found. Or check out our website that is still up and whose address Jake will tell you about now.
That's pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org.